Hello, class. I've chosen my emerging technology topic to be ambient intelligence and human automation. Hopefully, she won't bother me too much. And I've never done this before. I hope that you enjoy my PowerPoint slides, and I'm quite nervous. Hopefully, it doesn't show, and I will try not to talk so fast or make this as long as my discussion posts typically tend to be. So, ambient intelligence and human automation. Let's begin. For the table of contents, what I'm going to walk you through, we have goal of ambient AI, AMI for ambient intelligence, that's the abbreviation. Then the next slide will be ambient intelligence. What exactly is it? And then we'll talk about three key human computing technologies within ambient intelligence. Then we'll speak about ubiquitous computing, ubiquitous communication, intelligent user interfaces, key technological areas, a little bit of history, um, how it powers Internet of Things, which I know we just did a module on, and it very closely ties to the Internet of Things because ambient intelligence as a whole is pretty much all the smart environment that you have. Like, imagine a smart home, everything that's interconnected with one another, communicating for seamless integration, like your smart home, your smart TV, your smart fridges, your smart thermostats, your smart, all that. Like the smart Apple Watch that I just a minute ago had on my wrist before I went to charge it. So it's kind of like all the devices that are connected that make up the Internet of Things, they are included in what would be the ambient AI because the ambient AI are things that are within the Internet of Things that are smart and that can adapt and seamlessly adjust and make decisions and like adjust settings for you without you having to really have user input. Things like, temperature being adjusted because it gets cold and not without you having to ask. And we'll get more into it. Then we have the steps involved in ambient intelligence. And then I'm going to have a little set the scene session where I'm going to have you imagine, a fully immersed ambient intelligent home, which is what the future seems to be headed to as we get more and more smart devices integrated within our homes. Then we'll talk about a lot of the advantages, but then we'll definitely talk about some very concerning drawbacks and negatives to it that are very concerning that definitely need to have some safeguarding in place before we fully roll out this technology more than it already is. Sorry, my cat's biting me. Technologies used within AMI, then we'll talk more about them. They are RFID, sensors, software agents, nanotechnology, biometrics, effective computing, the need of five W's, five W's being what, when, why, where, what, when, why, where, and who. Sorry to count that. And then I'll conclude, and then I'll give my lovely references, which helped me and aided me in making my project. So without further ado, let's begin, and I hope you all like my slides. So, what is the goal of ambient intelligence? Well, ambient intelligence, like I said, it's to create smart environments which enhance the lives of the user. So, it's all going to be your own custom tailored user experience based on your preferences from it getting to know you. So, from healthcare to smart homes, ambient intelligence aims to make interactions more natural, intuitive, and personalized. So, your set of ambient smart home, ambient intelligent devices wouldn't necessarily be doing the same things that mine would be doing because maybe you prefer it hot, I prefer it cold, for example, for the temperature, and it's going to adjust completely to your preferences. A lot of machine learning involved. So, a few key facts is ambient intelligence. It refers to environments which are equipped with artificially intelligent systems capable of responding and adapting to human behaviors and preference. Like I previously said, they're going to all be different and uniquely tailored to each person. The vision of ambient intelligence is for individuals to be immersed completely in surrounding intelligent objects capable of sensing and responding to human interactions based on the individual's desired outcomes. I think I briefly touched on that. And then lastly, it's built on three key technologies, which I'm about to get a little further into, which are ubiquitous computing, ubiquitous communication, and intelligent user interfaces. To speak more about those, we have first ubiquitous computing, which is kind of easy for such a clever, fancy, long word. It took me a minute to learn how to pronounce that. Ubiquitous, aka pervasive computing. The idea that computing capabilities are built into everyday devices and objects. So it's just pretty much that, within the Internet of Things around you. So it's going to be a form of computing things built into everyday things. Like, for example, I didn't know that my stove necessarily had any kind of Internet of Thing kind of connection, or my, washer, things that I don't really, consciously, you know, connect to like wirelessly. I don't like, even I understand smart devices, like if the people with the new Samsung smart washers and dryers and smart things like, phones linked up to the refrigerator and stuff, but I just have your old regular, stove, and still is some has on some level has a wireless connection. So this is going to be more, more smart and built into everyday objects. I'm talking like everywhere. That's the goal in the future that they want for this. And along with ubiquitous computing, of course, we have ubiquitous communication, and it's very similar, but it's just the word for these devices being able to have a network where they can be in constant communication with one another. So for example, say you're on your way home, right, and your car is able to communicate to your house via a constant network, letting it know, hey, so and so is getting ready to be home from work, and they can prepare for you with all the settings inside, like temperature preference, get ready to unlock the door, all types of things, and it's getting smarter and smarter. But pretty much ubiquitous communication is the devices within the ambient intelligent network being able to communicate and be in constant communication, transferring and sharing data with one another. A branch of ubiquitous computing refers to the ability for a device to create, share, and process data without ever losing its connectivity. Enables ambient intelligent devices to be in constant communication with one another via ad hoc and wireless networking. Sorry if I'm talking too fast. So, for intelligent user interfaces, I don't know if you are an Alexa Siri type person, but I have an iPhone and I'm an iPhone girl, just like I'm using my MacBook right now, and I use Siri. So think about Siri when you think about intelligent user interfaces and your intelligent user interfaces. They're getting to know you over time, and they're really, really collecting that data constantly to get to know you more. And it could almost like read your mind. It's almost like you're not completely spaced out right now. Okay, I'll try to make this a little more interesting. So, let's talk about a little bit of the exciting history. Um, so, this all started, the original origins. The concept was first introduced in the 1990s. I don't know if you've heard of the Philips lab, but it's a huge research lab. And this particular division, which was in the Netherlands, or also known as the Philips Nat Lab, was the one who originally, where the origins came from. They thought of the concept in the 1990s as part of a vision for a world where tech blends seamlessly in our lives. So back then, up until now, you could think about all those sci-fi movies that you saw back in the day up until now, with all these, they get better and better, and they're kind of coming true, these sci-fi movies with these smart homes, and these smart homes that like go after the person, usually with terrible endings, but that's where we're headed the more and more we implement AI. But that's besides the point. Okay, later, ambient intelligence was finally introduced in 1998 by the Philips Research Labs when it's finally brought up to like kind of public eye. And then a huge turning point, which is crucial and very critical point, which is great for ambient intelligence to reach the market or even become a thing and come to fruition, was when AMI was taken up by the European Commission's Information Society Technologies Advisory Group, which was in 2001, also known as IST. Huge turning point for the actual ambient intelligence to come into fruition. Another key figure, not the founder or anything like that, but he was just very important in this. I'll introduce Mr. Philip van Lieshout, and forgive me if I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but I know that he laid a lot of the groundwork for this kind of technology. He was a researcher at Philips as well, who helped shape the idea that environments should be responsive and adaptive to human behaviors through interconnected intelligent systems. Okay, so back to Internet of Things, which the Internet of Things, a lot of these things around us, these Internet of Things that would make up our network of personal ambient intelligence, like I said earlier. So they're very closely tied. And I know we just did a module on the Internet of Things. So first we have embeddedness. Embedded systems are combinations of computer hardware and software designed for a specific function. They're embedded. So this is things that are embedded. So this is technology that would be embedded in everyday objects, more than you can even think of. Light switches, refrigerators, thermostats, door locks, everything, music players, speakers, car keys. I mean, everything, just everything. The goal of the AMI really is just to make us completely immersed in all those old sci-fi movies showed you, like the complete smart home. I mean, that it pretty much did everything but wipe your behind, honestly. So, I mean, so things that are embedded in everyday objects, pretty much. And then the next point would be transparency. When thinking of transparent computing, think invisible. So things happening around us without us even needing to, have any user input. So you're not having to ask for it to turn the temperature down or things like that, but it's automatically, by adjusting to your preferences, it knows, oh, hey, it's getting a little chilly, and I know that so and so likes it to be at least above 75 degrees. I better turn the heat up. And this all happening without you needing to have any input. It just does it for you. So think about invisible computing. User interacts with ambient intelligence systems naturally. Example, rather than pick up a tablet and search Google, we ask the question out loud and have a response immediately given us back to, via Alexa or Siri. Machine learning, huge part of all this, because the machine learning is going to have to come into play if it's going to have to learn us, so to speak, right? So, machine learning models enable devices in the environment to learn from the experience, extrapolate from current data, and autonomously expand on their knowledge and capabilities. Constantly needs to be learning with this data collection in order to give us a more custom tailored user unique experience. Context awareness, systems that can gather information from surroundings at any time and adapt to its behaviors accordingly. Potential data collection and response systems include sensors, emotions, analytics, and effective computing software. So this is kind of where, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but the drawbacks come into play, because with that constant, vast amount of data being collected, I mean, that does raise some major privacy concerns, and we don't want to get my conspiratorial mind going because this is a college project. So I'm just going to leave it at, just for the context awareness, it's going to be needing to have 100% constant communication, constant network connectivity. This AI is going to have to be collecting data from you nonstop, constantly. But who has access to that data? Is that data shared with anybody? How do we really know? Makes you think. So there are four to be exact, certain steps in the processing of ambient intelligence. We have first, these devices need to sense the data that they're collecting to make decisions based off of. So there's first the sensing phase. So let's give an example. So temperature, thermometer, back to that. So so this ambient intelligence system will sense a drop in the temperature, significant drop to your preference. So it's going to sense the drop in the temperature, okay? And then it reasons. It takes that data that it sensed, and it's going to have to reason. It's going to have to make a decision based on that data collected in the sensing phase. So this is when it would decide, I better turn the thermostat up a bit because so and so likes it to be quite, warmer in here than it is now. So this is the reasoning phase based on that data collected. And then acting would be actually the act of turning the heat up, based on the reasoning it done from the sensing, the reasoning it had did. That sounds so illiterate. The reasoning done through the sensing phase. That would be the act, obviously. And then lastly, and it seems a little out of place, but it's not, would be just interacting, which is key in this overall, because the interaction from you is what's given it all of this, you know, all the deciding process, and in the whole turning the heat up. It's because it knows from interacting with you that this is the temperature that you like, and this is all about the data collected and tailoring to your experience. Okay, quickly, now we are almost done. You're all doing great. Hopefully I'm not doing too terrible or talking too fast or making this too long, but again, I've never done this before. But anyway, let's set the scene for a minute. Take a minute, and we are almost done, but take a moment, if you can, to just imagine for a minute. We're going to try and immerse ourselves into a completely ambient, intelligent home. So let's throw ourselves in our very own sci-fi movie, although it is completely happening around us right now, more and more each day at an impressive rate. So you're coming home from work. Imagine you're coming home from work and your car is already communicating with your house, letting you know that, hey, so and so is about to be home from work, and letting the house prepare for your arrival. Say you get home, you won't even have to use your key anymore to lock your car or unlock your door, because your facial recognition has now read your face and knows that it's you with its security and facial recognition system, unlocks the door for you. There's another thing you don't have to do. You get inside and you're greeted by a gentle home assistant voice letting you know, welcome home from work. It even lets you know your partner's in the kitchen right now preparing dinner for the both of you, and your young child is in their room playing, carefully monitoring all that. And you might even have some light music that you prefer to relax to after a long day's work, and a perfect temperature setting, and nice and warm and cozy with some dim lights to match after a long, hard day's work. Your home assistant kindly turns off your surveillance system, which was just watching your young child while your partner was making dinner, because now it wants to respect your privacy and your family time and no longer needs to watch your young child, which is in their room playing unattended. All this stuff is, a lot of, you not having to do much of anything for yourself. And they say it's just to make your life a lot easier. But at what point do we stop and draw the line ethically about when is AI doing too much for us, and when are we, completely going to stop doing anything at all for ourselves? But that'll be in the drawbacks a little more later. Advantages. So there are quite a few advantages. We have enhanced convenience, and that's kind of self-explanatory. It's just so much convenient that you don't really have to lift a finger for everyday tasks that you normally would have to do on your own. Stop it, dangy. Improved efficiency. You can get a lot more done if you're not having to worry about doing these tedious little tasks on your own, right? So you're going to be able to have a much more efficient life when all these things are taken care of for you and making you a lot more comfortable. Personalization, just having these experiences. Like I said, my ambient intelligent home and system won't be the same as yours because this is all personalization. It's all custom tailored to uniquely you. And then improve safety and security. Back to the facial recognition unlocking your door. It's definitely going to make things more secure when these things are monitoring you 100% of the time. And, they could monitor your young child, or they could, cameras out front, surveil systems can make sure that no robbers are trying to break into your house, or, or anybody steals anything, just a lot of things. It's definitely improved safety and security. And they could have like immediate communication with fire and police departments. Now, don't even get me started on the disadvantages. I'm going to try and keep this short for the sake of class, but there are definitely some huge, huge, huge privacy concerns. I mean, think about it. If something is completely constantly collecting data from you 100% of the time, large, large, large amounts of data, I mean, when is there even a cutoff? If they're always on, always communicating, always recording data, who actually has access to that data? Is it shared with anybody? We may be told it's not shared with anybody, but is it really being shared with anybody? What is those who actually reads those user terms and agreements? I know that I've selected accept without reading a lot of them, or gone through the fine print quite a few times in my life. So where's that data actually going? Is the front for, oh, making your life so much easier and all that, just a big front for Big Brother and the government to keep a constant eye on you? I think so, but I'm not going to talk about that. Don't even get my conspiratorial mind going. Anyway, cost of implementation. Although this might get a little cheaper down the line, right now to have a fully ambient intelligent home is going to have quite a price tag, and some people, actually most people, probably wouldn't be able to afford such luxury to have this, ambient intelligent all around smart system. I mean, I myself don't even have like a smart refrigerator, smart washer, smart dryer. I'm actually trying to purchase a broken washer of my own. I'm currently, hand washing clothes, so I certainly wouldn't be able to enjoy the luxury of like a, multi, $1,000 brand new $3,000 appliance. When I, I'm struggling to buy myself a $300 washer, being, a full time college student right now. So most people, especially in the economy, won't be able to afford such things. But I'm sure down the line, as it becomes much more, common, and actually we're headed toward a future where everybody's going to have this, because it's going to be like one of those, dystopian sci-fi films. More and more each day, it's turning into that. So for now, it's going to be a drawback at cost of implementation, and then dependence on technology, which also kind of ties into the ethical concerns and what I was saying earlier. When exactly is AI doing way too much for us? And as we evolve, are we letting AI do too much for us, that our children and our children's children won't really know what to do for themselves anymore, or be able to do much of anything for themselves if everything's being done for us all the time? Security vulnerabilities. You're going to be prone to hackers. I mean, if something is in constant data collection from you, I mean, that's going to be a nice target for hackers, because they're going to want all that data. They're going to want all that data to either blackmail you, or, hold it over your head for whatever reason. I mean, anything that's collecting that much data is going to be definitely a target for hackers. And then, of course, ethical concerns, which is what I just spoke about. And that is, when is AI doing too much for us? Okay. So let's talk about some of the technologies that come along with ambient intelligence. A lot of things working together. We have software agents, RFID, nanotechnology, sensors, and effective computing. Can we just take a moment to look at my cute little Bengal cat? She's so cute. Becky, Becky. Oh, sorry, I had to do that. So with RFID, we have tags, AIDC, active tags, passive tags. Okay, with RFID, we have two different types of tags. We have active and we have passive tags built within the RFID. These tags are tiny devices that store data about the object. They store data about the object that they are attached to currently, like say pets with their microchips. AIDC stands for automatic identification and data capture, and RFID is a part of a broader field called AIDC, which is all about automatically identifying objects, collecting data about them, and sending that data into a system. What system though? Without human involvement. It's about what makes RFID so powerful is streamlining in their processes. Active tags, a little more detail on them. They are their own power source. Actually, they're like their own small battery, which means they can broadcast signals over long distances. They're used in places where you need to track things in real time over large areas like warehouses, vehicle tracking, and then there's passive tags. A lot of people have heard of RFID chips too, by the way. That if you've heard of RFID, passive tags, on the other hand, passive tags don't have their own power. They rely on RFID reader to send out the signal, which wakes up the tag and allows it to send back its information. This kind of reminds me of like hardware components within a computer a bit, now that we think about it. They rely on RFID reader to send out a signal, which wake up the tag and allows it to send back that information. They're cheaper and used for things like inventory controller access messages. I was just thinking about like hard disk and like solid state drives. That's something about that just made me think of that. The cheaper version, the more expensive version, SSD, constant, doesn't need the constant flow of power as a hard drive does. But anyway, this is a presentation, Lindsay. Next, we can talk about the sensors. So for these things in the ambient intelligent Internet of Things devices around us to work, we have to have sensors, obviously. Those sensors, which I spoke earlier, are embedded within these devices that are giving it constant communication and constant data collection and processing power. Wireless sensor network. So this is wireless sensor network. This is something that's going to be a wireless network around you that's constantly in communication with one another and constantly processing data, but without ever turning off. Kind of like wireless control of these things. They're always on, kind of, so to speak. Physical quantity conversion to electrical signals. This is physically quantifying an object that's able to convert it into electrical signals. So this is an actual physical, they call it physical quantity. That's the physical stimulus that the device is able to pick up, which completes and converts it into electrical signals, which would be like communicating it and transferring it into a physical stimulus, transferring it to something understandable by the AI, electrical signals that can then be converted into what they process and reason with to make the action and makes this whole thing work. Almost done, you guys. You guys are doing great. Hopefully, I'm not doing too bad. Software agents, data mining agents, user agents, predictive agents, and intelligent agents. Almost done. So, to speak more on data mining agents, when you think of data mining agents, these agents are designed to sift through large data sets and collected data looking for patterns and useful information. With the machine learning and it's collecting all that vast amount of data, it's looking for patterns to kind of program itself, so to speak, to make it, custom to the user experience. Think of them as digital detectives. They can help spot business trends, they can identify customer preferences, what I was just saying, or even detect fraud by analyzing massive amounts of data. Then we have user agents, and these are the personal assistants of the software world. They interact with users and handle tasks like managing your email, scheduling meetings, and finding information. Examples include Siri, Alexa, your intelligent user interfaces that we spoke about earlier. Even your email spam filter will they go through. These agents help make life easier by automating repetitive tasks that you might not feel like doing yourself, which also frees up a lot of time for you to do other more important things. Lastly, we have intelligent agents recognition. I'll jump right into that. I'm using an iPhone 15 Pro, and I just realized, I think a couple months ago, that if you put a different camera up to it in the dark light, you can see that it is constantly snapping photos of you every like 5 seconds or so, and it's very visible. And I mean, I had no idea that previously, but yeah, constant facial recognition and constantly collecting your face and your data. And don't even get my conspiratorial mind going again, because that can go in a whole different route, and we need to end this for you guys sitting so patiently through it. Retinal recognition, that's like, you see people using their like eye scans and like, to get into like, secure spaces or like vaults in like a lot of movies, but of course going by your retina. And then facial recognition, which I just touched on. A lot of your phones and your common modern smartphones have modern facial recognition. Voice recognition, of course, when you're programming, for example, my iPhone, Siri gets to know my particular voice. When I first load up a brand new iPhone, it'll tell me, to speak these sentences because it wants to get to know you personally, so it can respond to only you. But voice recognition and fingerprint recognition, the old school iPhones, take that for an example. And of course, like my MacBook here, my new MacBook 15 M3 has a little fingerprint reader there, which is very convenient and definitely comes in handy. But all these are forms of like unlocking and recognition to make things better, easier for you to access and make things more secure for sure. Effective computing is able to recognize, interpret, and respond. Effective computing would be referring to more personalized and meaningful interactions. So this is what makes ambient intelligence such a great benefit, is that it's able to, get to know you. It's able to uniquely tailor your experience. Sorry, I keep saying that, but really, it's effective and it's computing because it's able to all this working together to, really just make your life a lot easier and more convenient by and allow you to do more things like spending time with your family or getting more work done or just getting taking care of all those tedious tasks for you, and without your input, without you having to think about it. So rather than needing the temperature turned down, even telling your smart home to turn your temperature down, it'll just know for you, making you a lot more comfortable and just catering to your needs so that you could just get a lot more done and making your life more effective. And that's effective. I can't wait to hear about your emerging technology choice. And I'll try and keep my discussion board post not so novel sized, long, and harassingly large and over drawn out. But I was quite nervous and shy. I've never actually recorded and did this for a camera, so hopefully it wasn't too bad, you guys. Don't be too harsh. And in conclusion, ambient intelligence holds the promise of revolutionizing the way we interact with technology in our daily lives. It brings us a step closer to a future, and this is going to be everywhere in the future. It already is now, but more so, like we're going to be like one of those sci-fi movies very soon. Here, watch. Things are evolving so fast with AI, but it brings us one step closer to a future where our surroundings adapt to us rather than the other way around. Thank you for listening, and I look forward again to hearing all of your choices for your projects. Did you like my PowerPoint slides? My PowerPoint slides were better than my presenting. Come on, you guys. You have to admit, they were pretty clever. I mean, nicely designed. Kind of cluttered a bit and not as simple, but I like decorating. Okay. Once again, if you have any questions or thoughts, I would love to get an email from you guys, or we could, take it to the discussion board post. Like I said, any feedback, please don't be too harsh. I would love to hear your thoughts. I really enjoyed this and our experience together thus far. The end.